I mean, look, we had inflation while we had a pandemic, and we had inflation before Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. It wasn't caused by supply chain shortages brought on by the coronavirus. It wasn't caused by Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. It was caused by the Democrats spending trillions of dollars we don't have, and as I explained, only the strong, waging war on America's energy production. Those are the two main reasons we have record high inflation and why so many American families struggle to make their budgets meet at the end of the month.
When do you think the Democrats as a party completely tipped over into that? Because, if you think only, 40 or 50 some odd years ago, JFK as a Democrat, ask not what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for the country, is very reverse of, just bow to the state all the time. When do you think they actually fully tipped into what we now see with the modern Democrats?
You see it progressing steadily from Wilson through FDR and Truman, and then getting to the 60s. About JFK, I write a lot about Kennedy and only the strong. No doubt he was capable of soaring rhetoric, but it masked a terrible record. JFK very much subscribed to Woodrow Wilson's conception of the administrative state and technocratic expertise. He had all these so-called best and brightest tinkering with the economy, most especially in the Department of Defense, tinkering there, disregarding the wisdom of the men who had helped win World War II. As I write in Only the Strong, you see this most importantly in Vietnam. JFK turned Vietnam into what was a local conflict in which we had one side, South Vietnam, that was capable of fighting and defending itself with our support. But thanks to his weakness, thanks to his indecision, thanks to his belief in this kind of enlightened scientific tinkering, he and LBJ turned the Vietnam War into an American war whose legacy has distorted the views of America and turned so many left-wing Democrats openly hostile against our country then and since.
So is there any Democrat that's left? I mean, when you're talking to your colleagues in the Senate, I mean, I was a Democrat for most of my life. Most of my, that's what put me on the map. I was a Democrat, I was a lefty, and I started, 7 or 8 years ago saying, hey, something's not right here. And then I kind of just followed that path down the road. And now when I look at the modern Democrats, it's like, man, there is nobody left that I think would represent perhaps a government that maybe would be a little bigger than you want, but not a completely totalitarian government. There seems like there's nobody left. Are they secretly around? I mean, do you privately meet with these people and they go, boy, the squad's out of control, but I'm afraid of them?
Yeah, I wish I could say I did, Dave, but no. Democrats, like the squad members in the House, are fully in the saddle, responding in many cases to the large activist base of the Democratic Party. I mean, when you think about Democrats who believed in a strong, competent, powerful America, the last one I can really think of is Joe Lieberman. And what happened to him? The Democrats voted him out in their own primary in 2006. Right. People before him who were somewhat anomalous, like, say, Scoop Jackson. But for a long time, there just hasn't been many strong Democrats. Now, when it comes time to go to the polls, they sometimes might like to present themselves as strong or caring about your concerns. In the same way, Democrats have been making a lot of noise over the last couple months, worried about gas prices. But that's all a facade. What they're really worried about is their own electoral future, not about the future of America.
So if we flash forward this, I know nobody wants to be in the prediction game, especially a sitting senator, but if we flash forward this to the midterms that are, basically in a week or 10 days at this point, I mean, do you sense this red wave that everyone senses? And what do you think about sort of the overconfidence feeling that you got to worry about?
Well, I believe Republicans are going to win control of the House and the Senate. I don't want to hazard a guess of how many seats we'll have, but I think most Americans now are looking at where their lives are now versus where they were 2 years ago. They're making less money. They're spending more money. Their streets are less safe. We've had 5 million illegal aliens enter our country. There's a major war in Europe. China now has an aggressive dictator unlike anything that they've had since Mao, who's shooting missiles over Taiwan. I think they're very worried about the future of our country. And they realize that, again, this is not an accident. This is not a mishap. It all goes directly to the Democratic Party's choices and in many cases, their intentional desire, for instance, to see higher gas prices, and they want to check and balance on Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's incredible, the intentions part of it. I'm just so amazed by that they actually say it in front of us. You know, we want to end fossil fuels, and then we watch these prices go up, and then they say, oh, but the price going up has nothing to do with us. It's all because of Putin. You have to sort of admire that, because then the media runs cover. Does it ever make you jealous that they have a whole mainstream media to run cover for them that I would say doesn't run cover for guys like you as much?
Well, no, because we have reality on our side. I mean, look, we had inflation while we had a pandemic, and we had inflation before Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. It wasn't caused by supply chain shortages brought on by the coronavirus. It wasn't caused by Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. It was caused by the Democrats spending trillions of dollars we don't have, and as I explained, only the strong, waging war on America's energy production. Those are the two main reasons we have record high inflation, and why so many American families struggle to make their budgets meet at the end of the month.
So what would you want, I almost said Obama, who might be pulling the strings. What would you want Biden to do today? If you sat down with him today and said, hey, with this energy crisis, we have to fix this, what would you want him to do right now?
Well, I write a little bit about this in Only the Strong, because it can't be stressed enough that energy literally powers America. That's why we call it the power. The power's out. Oh, the power's back on. That's what makes a difference in modern life going back 250 years, is the energy we get from sources like coal, oil, gas, and now nuclear power as well. We have to recognize that those energy sources are going to power America for the rest of our lifetime. It is a fantasy to think that wind power and solar power is somehow going to replace those sources. I mean, we still get 7/8 of all of our energy from fossil fuels and nuclear power in America. And even among so-called renewable or clean energy, we get a lot more from water and wood and crops than we do get from wind and solar combined. So as I write in Only the Strong, we have to reinvigorate the fossil fuel industry in America. Now, there's no single thing that Democrats have done to strangle fossil fuel production in America, so there's no single thing we can do to help unleash it, but there's a lot of steps we can take. For instance, we can start building critical infrastructure, most importantly, new pipelines. I was in Western Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago with Mehmet Oz on the campaign trail. We visited a natural gas pad. There's enough natural gas in Pennsylvania and Ohio and the rest of America to essentially replace all of the energy that we import into this country. Yet New England is paying sometimes quadruple the rates for natural gas this winter as the rest of the country does. Why? Because New York won't let pipelines be built across its territory to provide American gas to American citizens. Think about the LNG, liquefied natural gas, that we could export to other countries. Wouldn't it be better if Europe was relying on America for American gas rather than Russia for Russian gas? Look at the amount of permitting that has not occurred on federal lands, which is almost 30% of this entire country, to allow oil and gas exploration or federal waters. So there's a lot of steps we could take to make sure that the federal government is encouraging and promoting energy production in this country. Some of those are also simply rhetorical or even economic. You know, there are many left-wing banks on Wall Street that are part of the Democrats' campaign against fossil fuels in America. We should be celebrating the fact that we have roughnecks and coal miners who are helping achieve energy independence here and providing energy to our allies around the world. We shouldn't be trying to cut them off from access to the credit and the equity markets. If we take those steps, if Biden would simply appeal to sanity when it comes to our energy sources here in America, we could bring gas prices down, we could bring your electricity bills back down, and we could help rebuild American power around the world as well.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.